game 2. And Julio this time has white in a Capablanca tournament in 1994 against Hugo Spangenberg. And we have ourselves another Sicilian. And what I'll say about Julio in his career, he's not just a basher like we saw in the first game, playing in these nasty, complicated lines. When I've played games with Julio and did some preparation, I found, looking in the database, that the man scores almost 90% against players over 2,400 with the Rossolimo. And in investigating these positions deeply like he plays them, I said, one, I'll never play a Rossolimo or never allow a Rossolimo against Julio when playing him in any sort of game. And then two, the Rossolimo is an extremely dangerous modern opening. I mean, I was astounded and impressed that the world champion Magnus Carlsen was able to do so well against Carl One's prep with the Rossolimo in the last world championship match. So take a look at that. We've got that entire match covered on the channel, and we have a playlist for that. I just think the Rossolimo is one of the best openings in chess. We're going to see it in this game that Julio runs a clinic in patience with this game. So without further ado, g6, takes. And this is one of those knight versus bishop dynamics. So to me, I look at this position and I'm already thinking, I want to keep the position closed generally. I've got 2 knights versus 2 bishops, and I'm playing against these double pawns. And generally, you're going to play moves like d3, a4, sink a knight on c4, and you want to trade off your dark square bishop for its counterpart. So you're playing against the mismatch. So that's the overall plan for white typically. But, of course, Julio goes a completely different route after knight h6 and allows black to trade off his doubled pawn in order to get full control over the center. Makes it to where this knight's having a lot of difficulty getting into the game, and moves like f5 come at great risk for black in the future. So d6, simple. He wants to potentially get a good square. No, sir, none of that. Rook b8, we'll finish development. And black's looking to try to hit in the center at some point. It's fine. No hurry. b3, didn't have another great square for the bishop to go to. You could easily be kicked or get in the way of other pieces. So we create a new diagonal for the bishop where he's going to be very well placed. And keep in mind our goal still, we would love to trade our final bishop off for his dark square bishop, its counterpart, to get rid of his bishop pair. Bishop d7, bishop b2. All of white's pieces are developed. And this is normally where my students begin having problems in their games. It's like, well, I've done everything. The opening's done. So what do I do? Well, the better question is, what is black going to do? Because white has a lot of pluses here. We've got well-placed knights. Our rooks are well-placed. Our center pawns are well-placed and restricting black. So I don't really need to touch any of that. I don't see exactly how I can improve my queen, bishop, or king, so I'm going to shuffle a little bit. Maybe probe. See if black will do something to pitch the game. Well, black plays king h8, being a very strong player. He's looking for changes in the position. With black, you have to kind of hope that white presses too much here. All right, queen d2. Just waiting to see what's going on. Rook b7. And now we begin to try to improve. Knight e2. And again, no major changes. Knight g3. This is watching out for a potential f5 break. Queen a6. You hit my a pawn. but playing a3 or a4 is out of the question. So simply bishop a1, defend the a-pawn. And black is making a serious attempt in this game to touch all of his starting pawns and pushing them one square. We're simply going back. Knight e2. Finally, e5 is played. Black has had enough with the waiting around. Takes, takes. Knight c3. And again, this type of knight maneuver, a lot of people go, well, he wasted time going knight e2, knight g3, knight e2, knight c3. I see it as he coaxed black into trying to force something or make a change in the position. White's position is not worse here. Black's position is from the changes that have been made. This d6 pawn is very weak in comparison to where it was a few moves ago. Rook b to b8. Well, we're in no hurry. Knight g5. Again, only defender of the d6 pawn. If we can get rid of it, house of cards. Rook f6, continually trying to nurse this weakness now. Got to defend that. And this knight a4, it's solid. Defending the a-pawn and keeping tension, pressure. And this is one of the few improvements on the game. I like knight b2 immediately to reroute the knight to harass that key weakness on d6. Where we end up getting knight c4, and this is better position for white, of course. But in the main game, rook e2 was played, which makes a lot of sense. You're looking to follow up with knight b2 to c4 or double rooks on the d-pawn. Very flexible move, high class. Rook b5. You don't want any discoveries or nastiness. Queen e3. And in the meantime, as we're getting our queen out of the way, we're making these subtle probing threats. Queen b8, rook e d2. Just continually applying slow, numbing pressure. No hurry, no rush, just improving your pieces. Finally, knight b2, knight c4. Focusing on that weakness again. Bishop c8. And here is a way to radically change the pawn structure. And I love this. After f4, there's really no good way to handle f4. Because if the e-pawn moves, the a1 bishop becomes an absolute monster on this long diagonal. And if rook takes, the d-pawn falls. And if you capture, I've gotten rid of your bishop pair. If you don't capture, your rook's in trouble, you're wasting time. And again, house of cards. So I think f4 was an improvement on the game. Easy to miss moves like this. Rook d3, bishop a6. Putting the question to the rook. Continue, just, slow, numbing, steady pressure. Bishop b2, making the bishop more flexible. Potentially going to a3, so we'll have perfect harmony of our pieces hitting that d6 square. Queen g5. Protecting the f-pawn, no hurry. Takes. And rook takes. Queen takes with the big threat. Check. Check. And there's a lot of ways to go about it here. Rook takes d6 is probably the most efficient, where we have this nasty mate. In the main game, queen takes h7 was played, followed by queen g8, which was good enough. So overall, hopefully you're starting to see in the series that not only is Julio dangerous when it comes to some surprise value lines, you don't want to mess with him in those, but in solid lines like the Rossolimo, the man is an absolute razor when it comes to taking out his opponent's solid, steady position. Clean play in this game. Hopefully you're enjoying this series. If you are, give us a like and subscribe.